It. Hey, we're streaming live now. All right, we having fun yet? All right, getting it all set up here. We've got a couple of quick things to change out. Having just a little too much fun. See who shows up for this. This is going to be the weekly roundup from WP Plugins A-Z.com. And it's going to be pretty much talking about all kinds of stuff, whatever comes to mind. Mostly just WordPress news, information, articles that I've found on the web over the last few weeks. Bits and pieces here and there. About a half an hour show. It's every Saturday, 8 o'clock. Time for me to tweet this out to the world, Facebook it out. Answer questions if people get in here and ask me questions. Uh-oh. Damn it. Wrong image. Can't tweet that. Can't do that. Image. That. There we go. There we go. All right, let's see what happens there. For that Twitter feed. Send in. That's the one I'm getting to do. Find it here. Really? Oh, that's I wonder how I sent it out. Okay, doesn't matter. All right. Also, I get to enjoy some beer while I'm doing this because it's a nice Saturday evening. Beer, water, you know, the usual. Okay, well, let's start it up here. Don't have a intro yet for this show, but we're just gonna borrow the intro from the WP Plugins A to Z show. Let's do that and run with it now.
WordPress. It's the most popular content management and website solution on the internet. And with over 80,000 plugins to choose from, how do you separate the junk from the gems? Join us for a weekly, unrehearsed conversation about the latest and greatest in WordPress plugins. This is WordPress Plugins from A to Z.
It absolutely is. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you happen to be hiding out there on the globe today. Coming to you direct from the Brewery Overlook in beautiful Victoria, British Columbia, Canada. I'm John Overall. And it is Saturday night, and hey, I am your party animal. Woohoo! Saturday night, sitting in front of the computer, streaming out, talking about WordPress and news and information and all the other bits and pieces that I can locate. Now, I was supposed to do a show last week, and it is going to be a regular show, strictly live here on YouTube. And the show is here to showcase what I find in the news about WordPress. I subscribe to a lot of newsletters and websites and other things, and so I get the information. Sometimes I don't always get it shared. I thought that'd be a good thing to do. Also, if people show up here, ask me questions in the chat, I'll answer them as best I can. You want to find out a little bit about me, the WP Plugins A to Z show, which goes out every Thursday at noon and can be picked up from iTunes, Stitcher Radio, Google Play, and also many other areas for the podcast itself, which discusses just strictly WordPress plugins. One of the longest, actually, it's pretty much the longest running WordPress podcast, continuous running one. Not the longest show out there or the oldest show out there, but the longest continuing. It has had a show every week for 8 years. Seems like forever. I'm on episode 392 next week, and sometimes I'm just sort of impressed I did it. I went for several years there with a co-host, and Marcos was a fantastic co-host for the show. Unfortunately, my life changed, and it just didn't fit his schedule anymore with the way I changed it. But that's enough of that. Let's dig into here. This Saturday evening wrap-up of things in WordPress, and let's pop in and see some of the things that I have found in the WordPress world in this past week. There's been a fair number of articles and news and information and tidbits, and some of this is a couple of weeks old. So let's dig into the articles and news. I got a lot of them that are just stuck out here, ready to be shared. And some of these, I've skimmed through the articles. Now they were fresh in my head when I looked at them. Now they're kind of not so fresh in my head. But let's pull up one article here. And we got a few things that come from the Tavern. This one here in particular talks about WordPress 5.1 is going to replace blogging references with publishing. Now, of course, if you're living under a rock in the WordPress world, you won't know this, but for most people, they'll already know this information. It's more timely if I could do it weekly, but even still, it's the references in WordPress. When you've set up WordPress itself, it always said this is blogging throughout the whole site. And while WordPress hasn't been a blogging platform in good probably 6 or 7 years, since it went 3.0 and went to became a full-blown CMS system, it's not been a blogging platform. So what they're going to finally do is in the core coding itself, all references that reference blogging are going to be changed to publishing, because WordPress really is a publishing platform, not a blogging platform. I'll have to excuse me for just a minute. God, seriously, blog knows. Yeah, you didn't want to hear that. Enough that if you sat there and watched it on the screen there. Okay, so what this is it's going to change the way it looks. Kind of a nice little tidbit change, which should have been done ages ago, but they're just now getting around to it. Let's see, what else do we have here? Now I'll put all of the links in here that I found in the show notes. Some of them can be pulled out of other areas. Like I'm going to pull a couple of articles here. Like you might want to subscribe to the WIP yourself. It's really quite interesting. There's a really good article in here from the WIP, and it's about working 50 to 60 hours a week, and then what happens when you pare back to 32 hours a week. And this is a really interesting article about the surprising thing that will occur if you're working massive amounts of hours and you cut it back. You'll suddenly have more focus, more free time. You'll have more of a balance in life. I've been working at doing that myself for the last 2 years, and it's been really quite surprising that I'm able to give more time to my community, my kids, and other things such as, becoming a scout leader, getting more focused. The hard part is not letting yourself feel like you haven't done everything you used to do when you used to overwork yourself. So it's something that you want to be aware of, and it's something you do want to do. A really interesting thing. Now we've got another article here. This one here is about Elementor buying layers. Now this is it's not in the right spot. Got a specific way of doing this. There we go. Otherwise it doesn't show on the screen correctly. Elementor had acquired the Layers WP WordPress theme company. So Elementor, which is a theme builder into itself, now has its own theme system. So Layers is going to be more integrated into Elementor, and I think this is going to be a really great thing for those that use Elementor. I've tried to get to Elementor a few times, but I just haven't been able to make the transition. I've really got to buckle it down and deal with it, because Elementor is a fantastic plugin. A couple of times I've used it, I really like it as a builder. Wish it integrated with a couple of my themes, but one of my main themes has its own custom builder built into it. I've been using it for so long, I always fall back to it when I have troubles picking a theme for a site. It's like, well, I can make this one do all that with this builder. That's what I do. So this is something you might want to look at and check out, is Elementor, especially now that it's got its own base theme system. Now this one here is a really cool feature that's coming into WordPress 5.1, and it's something I think is pretty neat. Is if you've been doing WordPress for any length of time, you have dealt with the white screen of death. And that white screen of death comes and goes, and it's often sometimes is a challenge to debug and figure out, because you get a white screen, you've got 25 plugins, you don't know what it is, especially if it's someone that called you up and they go, I don't know what I did, I just updated. And there's clues to figure out what plugin that was recently updated, but it doesn't always work that way. Well, what they're going to be doing here is they're going to be setting up inside the white screen of death protection feature, so it catches fatal errors so that users can still get into their admin area to attempt to resolve the issue. Previously, you hit white screen, you couldn't even get into your admin area. You were just dead underwater. Couldn't get into nothing and do nothing. This is also supposed to allow you to get in there and check out the site status. And it looks like they've got a screen here, from this. You'll want to take advantage of more features in site help. Install it here, site status, debug information, troubleshooting, PHP information, tools, etc., etc. So this one here is going to updates for the developers, including the ability to replace the cron system with a custom cron handler. This is going to be something else in WordPress 5.1, which will be really cool into itself, in that if you can set up your WP cron with a custom built-in cron system, this is really useful for those that might have a low traffic site which doesn't get enough traffic. Because as you know, or if you don't know, there's the cron system for WordPress is dependent upon visitors to your website. If, say, for instance, you have a website that only gets visited, half a dozen times a day, or even half a dozen times a week, and I do have clients that their sites are visited that infrequently because they're specialized sites, they're unique sites for very specific reasons. But what happens when the cron doesn't get triggered, say it goes a couple, 3 days without triggering, as soon as the first visitor hits and triggers that cron, now it's got to do a whole backlog of cron tasks that need to be done. And that cannot suddenly slow the site down dramatically or hit a sudden spike in resource usages for that website. And that's one of the interesting and problematic things of the WordPress cron. So they're going to make it so you can set up inside the WordPress a cron system that you can deal with. Set a custom location for debug log, new blog meta table, and a few other changes. So you'll want to read through this article, see what it's got there for you. Other article here, Gutenberg overview from Elegant Themes. This is a really nice article going through and talking about an overview of what Gutenberg is, comparing it to, I believe they compare it to Classic Editor versus Block Editor. I've been doing a fair chunk of that myself lately, figuring out how to explain it to people, what I'm going to do, the best things to do with it. Whether or not they want to stick the Classic Editor in there and have a dual system. I've been running a dual system on one of my sites as I'm testing stuff out. And I'm finding it's kind of interesting in running the dual the dual system where you can controlling per post basis. You see, how easy it is to build a post in Gutenberg versus how easy it is to build in my builder or in the editor system. And I'm finding that Gutenberg is still a bit of a challenge for me to build a post in. And it's nice. It's okay. You can go in and tweak a few things, but I'm still having problems myself comprehending the logic behind a layout of it with the Gutenberg blocks, especially if I want to put an image next to my text or move blocks around. It's still not working as smoothly. And I think it just has to do with part of the biggest problem with the Gutenberg block system I find is in dealing with the fact that everything is hidden. You're never quite sure where you're at. They don't have the delineator, the lines separating the blocks, sort of what they do in a block editor, for example. A block editor has clear locations of where the blocks are. In Gutenberg, it's not clear until you mouse over something, and then you get a pop-up for what is going to happen. And suddenly that pop-up, is that really where it's at, or is it down below? It's kind of odd. And I'm sure not everyone has this problem, but it's one of the problems I'm facing when dealing with Gutenberg itself. Let's see what we've got. What else have we got here? Interesting column from, this will be the WIP again. They've got another column in here that I wanted. It wasn't the one on Matt Mullenweg. Code blocks, add row and column peasants. Let's see what this is. Adds row and columns page per blocks for Gutenberg. Okay. Yeah, that's still not it. No, that's not what I was looking for. Up here. I think this was it. It's a nice article on how to decrease your site's bounce rate. And of course, that's something you'll want to do if you're running a website of any sort. You'll really want to slow down your site, slow down your bounce rate, reduce your bounce rate, speed up your website, which is one of the biggest reasons for bounce. I mean, the biggest reason I bounce from websites is that I go to the web page, I load it, 10 seconds later, I don't have anything to look at. I'm patient, yeah, I know. 10 seconds, most people don't even wait 5. Many people barely wait 3. If they don't have anything coming through in 3 seconds, they're up and out of there so fast, it'll make your head spin. Add social proof, add videos. This is a really good article about things that you can do to your site to improve its functionality and speed. And this one here, again, article coming from the WIP. WIP manages to collect up a lot of stuff. It's always amazing, if you've got more than one person doing the job. It's like, you'll see with my stuff over the last, 6 months as I've added in the office assistant, my marketing manager has been able to devote more time to work. It's starting to change things here. We're getting better and better content. It's getting clearer and clearer, better and better shows. So little by little, we get things improved. Now this is something very important. This is actually quite timely. This came out just a couple of days ago. This is a security issue, and you will want to pay attention to this. A popular WordPress plugin has leaked access tokens capable of hijacking Twitter accounts. Now, this is a WordPress plugin, and this is the plugin social network tabs. Okay, I myself have never used this plugin, but this plugin has been downloaded over 250,000 times, 250,000 times, I believe is what they've said. No, 53,000. Okay, not as bad as I thought. Still pretty bad. That's a lot of websites out there that could be compromised. And what this plugin did is it took the authentication tokens that whenever you connect Twitter to your WordPress account, you got to go create a Twitter app, get your 2 authentication tokens, the secret token and the authentication token, I can't think it is, and you got to put them into your plugin, which has to authenticate with Twitter. This thing here was taking those authentication tokens and it was placing those in the code, the HTML code of your website. So anyone scanning your code could get those tokens. And they did a proof of concept on this, and they ran an internet search looking for the code that was being output by this plugin so they could find the authentication tokens. And then they tested those tokens with some testing to see if they were actually authentication tokens that they could hijack the website, the Twitter with. Now they did notify Twitter, and they notified many of the website owners that they found and the plugin developers. So if you have it and it hasn't been fixed, you'll want to take a look at this and get that dealt with as quick as you can. Let's see, what else do we have here? White screen protection. No, we already talked about that. This is an interesting article from WPMU Dev. This one here is a WordPress agency and freelancers guide to customer relationship managers, CRM program. And this is a guide to dealing with a CRM program, what features you want to look for, how to choose a CRM program, getting started with it, connecting it to WordPress, automating, building your lead customer portals, etc., etc. This is so you can do stuff with your clients. Client relationship module and module manager, client relationship manager. This is so you can communicate with your clients. One of the biggest problems I've ever had with my own business is following up with my clients after time. I do a bunch of really great work for a client. They love me. They find I'm fantastic and great. I move on to doing other work. And what happens, 6 months, a year later, they go and do something that I knew how to do, and they didn't contact me to ask me about doing that work. So I missed out on additional work simply because of a lack of communications to my clients to let them know, hey, I don't just go in and fix emergency stuff. I can also redevelop your site. I can provide web hosting for you. I can go in and help you with getting your base SEO stuff set up. I don't do advanced, but I can do base. I can help you learn how to create your content and place it for the best on your site, though sometimes you'd look at my site and you wouldn't know it. But there's a lot that I can do, and I can consult on, helping them save tons of money looking at things on their site. And these are the things that I don't often follow up with. We've gotten better at it in the last 6 months since my marketing office manager has started picking up that slack that I couldn't do. And it simply put is that you gotta do what you're good at, and being good at doing one thing, and you gotta hire someone to do the stuff you're not good at. And this could be a program you could set up for the person you hire, or get it all organized for them. And where else do we have some interesting articles in here? What do we got here? How to make money offering a WordPress maintenance service. Now this one here, if you're a WordPress developer, this should be a no-brainer for every client you work with. You should be trying to convince them to sign up with you for monthly maintenance of their WordPress website. Why, they might ask? Well, I can do it myself. Well, yes, they can. Very easily do it themselves. But that's not the point. You want them to come see you because you will help make sure it runs smoother. Like many of my clients that have opted to manage the maintenance on their WordPress websites themselves have often ended up coming back to me to manage it within a year or more. And it's usually because, as we all know, how smooth and effective WordPress management, WordPress updates always are, never failing, ever. I think the sarcasm's coming across. Really hope so. I've been working on my sarcasm. So we know that it just doesn't work that way. There's always a mess up. There's always something goes wrong. Not always, but there are things that go wrong occasionally. You know, if they hit the wrong button, they do an update, all of a sudden they're white screen. Well, what happens is I've had times where they'll go for 6 months, a year, doing it themselves, no problem. Then they'll crash something inevitably. And it won't be a simple fix. It'll be enough time that if they had paid me a monthly maintenance, it would have cost them less to have paid me that than what it cost them for me to go in there and fix up their problems that they created to save their website and save their hide. Mainly because, one, they're calling me an emergency, and that causes them to be bumped in the queue on me. Sometimes, if it's really a tough time, they'll get an emergency fee added to the task. You know, so it's like it could end up costing. So you got to convince them. It's like just think of it as an insurance policy, saving them grief. Everyone's so used to paying insurance for everything nowadays. What's another one? And then remind them, hey, it's fully tax deductible for you. It is a business expense to maintain your website. So that's what you want to do. Check out this article. It's really great. It gives you an idea on a pricing strategy, how to price what you're going to do, what you're going to offer, what you can do. Of course, it's tailored to use WPMU's site management system. I can't remember what it's called. I've tried to use it a couple times. It actually works quite nicely, but it doesn't work, to me, it doesn't work nearly as well as CMS Commander. And CMS Commander is one that I use quite regularly. Well, I've been using it now for about 5 or 6 years. Since they first came out, since CMS Commander first hit the market, I started using it. And I've been very happy with it since. I've had as many as 60 websites in there, and I've had it down to as few as 10. Currently, it hovers around 30 websites or so. Nice thing is that I look in there, it tells me all the sites that need updated, tells me everything is done. There's a few sites that I trust 100% where I can hit the auto update from within CMS Commander. Most sites I do not trust the auto update function for anything because there's just been too many times I hit the auto update. Go over to look at the site and something's gone wrong in the auto update. So I do manual updates. Yeah, it takes me longer, but it just gives peace of mind is basically what it boils down to. It's all peace of mind. All right, well, we're going to wrap this up. We haven't had any real visitors this week. Nobody else stopping in except for the robot. Pretty sure that's a robot there. No matter how I stream, what channel I'm streaming to, I've got a channel that's got 5 subscribers, so I know nobody ever shows up there. I do that one just for fun. But there's always one watching, and all I can think is it's a robot that comes in and watches to make sure I'm behaving and doing the things I need to do so that I don't get spanked by YouTube. So anyway, we're wrapping it up here. It'll be a half-an-hour show, and I will try to keep it at a half-an-hour show. If I happen to get questions or other things, I'll let it go over. I'll be happy to go over if I've got the interaction. If I don't have the interaction, I'm going to cap it at a half-an-hour max. And so I will put all of these links into the show notes so that you can be checked out. And that's pretty much all I've got for you. You all have yourself a great day. This show brought to you by WordPress Plugins A-Z.com and JohnOverall.com. Fantastic WordPress hosting, emergency support, and WordPress website maintenance. So go check me out. I can handle all of your WordPress needs pretty much. Take care now. Bye-bye.
Reminders for the show. All the show notes can be found at WPPlugins A-Z.com. And while you're there, subscribe to the Friday newsletter for more useful information delivered directly to your inbox. WP Plugins A-Z is a show that offers honest and unbiased reviews of plugins created by developers because you support the show. Help keep the show honest and unbiased by going to WPPluginsA-Z.com/donate and set the donation level that fits your budget. Help us make the show better for you by subscribing and reviewing the show at Stitcher Radio, Google Play, and in the iTunes Store. You can also watch the show live on YouTube check out the screencasts and training videos, and remember to subscribe and hit the bell to get notifications of all new videos. Also, follow the show on Twitter at WP Plugins A-Z. John can be reached at his website at johnoverall.com or send him an email, john@wppro.ca. Thanks for joining us and have a great day.
Thanks for listening to the show. This show is copyright by johnoverall.com. So until next time, have yourselves a good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you happen to be out there on the globe today.
Ha 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 ha!